Young Love Talks. Young Love Talks. A partir de las 7 cada miércoles, after 7 p.m. every Wednesday, tune in. Hablando de los temas que más te interesan como pareja. Speaking about the realness, what's going down, what's going on. About the good things, yeah. About the chocolates and the flowers, and about the things that go down every hour. RadioUNT.net. Te invita, we invite you. Young Love Talks, Young Love Talks. Can't miss it. We're talking about what you're doing with your selfies, what you're doing at your job. Did you left the iron on? Did you forgot to put on the gas? Yo, about everything. Somos diferentes, yeah. Díselo a la gente, no te lo pierdas. Every Wednesday night at 7, yeah. Young Love Talk. Young Love Talk.
Hey, we are on Young Love Talks on Radio Unite. You're with David and Doris tonight.
What's up, y'all?
And we are so happy to be able to share with you. Thank you to those who listened last time when we talked about the breakup, which was a pretty hot topic, talking about in relationships, when you go through a breakup, what do you do? How do you handle that? And we shared our personal stories. So today we're actually going to talk about something a little bit lighter, but it's helpful because
It's very helpful because it can lead to
the
issues.
makeup.
It can lead to the breakup if we don't address some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. But it is a little bit lighter, a little more fun.
Yeah. And so when I was in college, my degree's in family science. And so one of the classes was about couple relationships. And one of the books that I had to read for the class was The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman, which was really great because here I was in college and this book was written by a Christian author. And so it's really cool to see how this book relates not only in that relationship with the other person, but also you can see from a godly standpoint, what God has to say. And the love languages not only is just for, let's say, a marriage relationship, but also it could be with your kids. It could be, as a friend. And so specifically today, we'll talk about in a relationship. And even when you are single, we are going to talk about that at the very end. So if you are single, don't give up. Don't, get off this segment because we will talk to you about how you can apply the love languages in your life as a single person.
That's right.
So personally, the love languages really helped us and we've applied it. And there's this really cool quiz that you can take to see what love languages you're higher on and then which ones are lower.
Yeah.
So it's really
fun.
It's fun and funny.
And funny.
Yeah.
Because you really have to look and think and you're like, oh, wow, that is me. Like it puts scenarios like, would you rather do this or do that? And that's the style of the quiz. And then you kind of have to think like, I kind of like both.
Yeah. So it's a free quiz.
Yeah.
You can go on Google and just write 5 love languages quiz. And you'll actually go to the website of the author, Dr. Gary Chapman. So, it can be really frustrating when you're in a relationship and you don't feel loved. And I think we talked about this in one of the segments that we had that, we go through this honeymoon phase, and when you're dating, when you're getting to know the person, everything can seem really great.
your butterflies,
Yeah.
and you get nervous every time you guys see each other.
The other person doesn't do no wrong.
You never argue about anything.
Yeah.
You rather just agree, and everything's beautiful.
Everything is
unicorns
beautiful.
and
Yeah.
rainbows.
Oh man. And so when you get married and you go into this routine, it starts to fade out. And, that's why it's so important to not just invest in your wedding day and spend all this money on your wedding day, but to invest in your marriage by going to counseling, going to premarital counseling, investing in books about relationships that are going to really help you to cultivate a godly marriage. And no marriage, even if it's if it's a Christian marriage, that doesn't mean that Satan's not going to just not attack. Like,
if anything, he attacks more.
Right. The Bible says in John chapter 10 that the enemy has come to steal, to kill, to destroy. And that means, in the context of marriage, that he wants divorce. He wants a breakup. He wants to destroy families. And so, God has given us the gift of other people that, they've really gone into the field of relationships. They've gone into the field of marriage counseling. And so we can, invest in books so that we can really be helped and cultivate a godly marriage.
You set yourself up. It's amazing how you think what you're getting yourself into when you're gonna get married. Like, you're like, okay, yeah, so we're planning everything's cool. Like, at least that's how I felt. Like, we've been blessed to have good examples of marriages, and our parents, my parents just celebrated over 25 years, I think, of marriage. Yours a little more than that. So I don't know. I don't want to say confident, but I felt like, we got this.
You were naive.
That's the word. I was naive.
We were both naive. I think everyone,
But I kind of felt like, I'm ready. Like, I don't necessarily, if I skip on the counseling, the premarital counseling, I'm gonna be okay.
What?
Deep down inside, I didn't say that.
What?
But
I didn't know that.
But deep down, I was like, no, meaning like I was comfortable and I wasn't scared to be like, I'm gonna commit to marriage. I guess that's what I mean. Like, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna figure it out, right? Yeah. But when we took premarital counseling, I think our counselor, he was great. He pulled out the books, the material. He had been a counselor for years, right? Mm-hmm. But he put out the materials, and he really went in deep and asked us the questions that no one had asked us before. Like, because we were in our honeymoon phase, meaning, we were planning a wedding, everything was happy.
We just wanted to be together.
We did everything together except go home together. We served together, we ate together, we went out everywhere, and that was the only thing that we weren't married yet. So we thought, we're gonna be all right. And then those questions really opened up areas of ourselves that we're like, oh wait, you're right, I'm bringing this with me into marriage. And one of those was the love languages. How do you communicate, or how do you receive love? Because I think we all receive it in different ways. And that's what you were saying earlier, that when you're in a relationship and marriage and you don't feel love, the other person could be like, but I love you, but I'm showing you, but I'm telling you, like, I'm doing all these things, but the other person is kind of like,
you ain't loving me.
It's not, you're not communicating the way I understand. And this goes for love languages, but in communication in general. There are times that I tell things to Doris, and she's like, but you gotta tell me this way, you gotta put it in the calendar, or to accommodate to the way that she receives things, and vice versa too. But yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah, so it's been very helpful. Again, invest in your marriage. And this is hopefully from this segment, you're going to be encouraged to say, you know what, I want to go read that book. Or maybe you want to attend a marriage conference or there's someone at your church that you know, is a godly marriage, and, you know, just sitting down with them, spending time with them is going to really help you out so that you're not facing marriage alone. And so things could seem very good and nice right now, but think about 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. I mean, when we got married, right down to the year, we had like 1 year of marriage. Already people that were married around the same time as us either got divorced or they were already seeing the problems and were saying, you know what, I don't think we're going to make it. So think about that. Like, man, marriage is a lot harder than what people think, you know, in you know, just thinking, oh, I'm just going to fall in love and everything's going to be fine, you know, and we go in a little naive. And it's so important to just really think that I need help in this area. I don't know everything. And, you know, there are experts out there, and especially having a marriage that's grounded in Christ, and definitely going to the Word of God and praying together, praying it through. Those are all things that are important. And yes. And so learning how to communicate with each other, learn how to love each other well. And as David was saying, the way that you love someone or you receive love might not be the same way that the other person does. And so how can we be more effective in our relationships, in our marriage, so that we can really show that person that love? And I love how it says in the book of the 5 languages, think about that it's like a bank, and that you're a bank and that other person is a bank. Yes. And just like you go to a bank and you deposit money,
that's right.
Think about the things that you're doing and you're depositing in that person. So every time you show them that love in that way that is effective towards them, you're depositing in their life. But what happens when you're not depositing and all you're doing is withdrawing,
demanding,
yes,
needy.
And all of a sudden you end up in overdraft. And if you know what I'm talking about, you get hit with that overdraft fee, right? And that's something that you don't want to get to, you don't want to avoid. And what does that look like when you're in a relationship and all of a sudden, you know, you feel empty, you feel angry about something? Well, why is this person responding that way, or this is something that they're not doing? And instead of looking at it like blaming the person and like overreacting towards that person, it's more of a reflection of yourself and saying, maybe there's something about me that I haven't communicated well and that I need.
Yeah.
And that definitely happened with us, you know, because we went from going from a stage when we were dating that we would go out, we would serve together. And when we got married, our lives changed. There was a whole transition.
Completely.
Yeah. So it was like we were learning about each other in a whole different way. And so we're going to go into these different love languages.
There's 5 of them.
Yes. And we're going to share our own personal story or journey of what helped us. Because I definitely let David know when I didn't feel loved.
And I'm over here like, but I'm doing all of this.
But I love you.
But I love you. But I told you yesterday. It's funny.
Yeah, but you know, we both went through that time, and we all do this differently. So for me, it was a lot easier to get angry about something when I felt like there was too many withdrawals and there wasn't any deposits. With David, I noticed it's not so much anger, but it's silence. And
the guys say, amen. Might be a guy thing. I don't know. No, I know some very vocal guys. But Yeah, I bottle things up. And then I'd be mad and I wouldn't tell her why I was mad. I was just.
And my anger doesn't look like his anger.
Yeah, there's nothing.
But it's just, I could almost see like, you know, kind of like how a flower wilts. It's kind of like that.
I was a wilting flower?
Yes, you were a wilting flower. And it was just like, when your needs are not being met, it's almost like something kind of dies.
No, that's true.
You know? So I saw that difference between us. And, you know, it's so important to start learning about who you're married with. And if you're single, that you're learning more about yourself and what your needs are. And you can bring that to the table when you enter into a relationship.
Yeah. So it's almost time for a break. Do you want to jump in these now and come back after the break and jump into
No, we're going to do it after the break.
Okay. Because there's 5 of them. You don't want to rush anything.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're very simple, but I think it's going to make sense once after this. We'll hopefully be able to point you in the right direction on the website where you can take the quiz and everything. It all makes sense. But after the break, we're going to go over the 5 love languages that the book 5 Love Languages talks about. Mm-hmm. And we're going to share our personal results. We just took them today again. And it reminded me of the first time we took them like years ago. And it's interesting what has changed and what hasn't changed over the years. Now that we're celebrating 5 years in marriage in like 2 weeks. How much has not changed for me or how much has changed. But we'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go nowhere here on Young Love Talks.
Si tú me quieres y yo te quiero, busquemos el favor del cielo. Y si por mí mueres y por ti yo me muero, busquemos al autor del amor, el estilo de vida que contigo llevo. Honestamente lo deseo, que tengamos todo, estemos sinceros. Tenemos al autor del amor. Tenemos normas, bebé. Sé que el corazón es vulnerable, así que hagamos esto como debe ser. Un paso a la vez, si queremos ver cómo respondemos al tiempo. Y sé que queremos ver la voluntad de él. Yo no quiero que dudes, que sé muy bien en quién confío. Y él sabe cuánto quiero conocerle bien, para saber cómo amarte a ti, amarte así. Sé muy bien en quién confío y él sabe cuánto quiero conocerle bien, para saber cómo amarte a ti, baby. Tú me quieres y yo te quiero, busquemos el favor del cielo. Y si por mí mueres y por ti yo me muero, busquemos al autor del amor, el estilo de vida que contigo llevo. Honestamente lo deseo, que tengamos todo, estemos sinceros. Tenemos al autor del amor. Fuera mentira si dijera que son mis habilidades las que hacen que me ames. Puede hacer que te enamores de mí, pero en su voluntad está la clave. Mi vida, nuestro propósito en la vida apenas comenzó. Te fijas como el autor del amor lo inspira. Mi vida, nuestro propósito en la vida apenas comenzó. Te fijas como el autor del amor lo inspira. Sé muy bien en quién confío y él sabe cuánto quiero conocerle bien, para saber yo y él sabe cuánto quiero conocerle bien para saber cómo amarte a ti, baby. Si tú me quieres y yo te quiero, busquemos el favor del cielo. Y si por mí mueres y por ti yo me muero, busquemos al autor del amor, el estilo de vida que contigo llevo. Honestamente lo deseo, aunque tengamos todo, estemos en cero. Tenemos al autor del amor. I know it can be tough to trust God on this one, but believe me, He cares about you way too much to not give you the best. This is David the One Time.
Don't blame it all on me. Why weren't you upfront with me from the beginning?
Hello, and we're back here at Young Love Talks on a Wednesday night. It's raining all across America today, so it's kind of like gray and rainy, but we kind of like that weather.
At least on the East Coast.
On the East Coast where we're at. But hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us for the second part. This is David with Doris, and we're talking about the 5 love languages. Before we went on the break, we talked about the importance of learning to communicate how you receive love, because it can lead to frustration and not communicating well in the marriage. I mean, in the first year, it can be the deal breaker if you give up or if you choose to love and choose to grow in a marriage, because love is a choice. And I think that's one of the struggles that we went through, where we're like, okay, we know we love each other. This is hard, but we're choosing to equip ourselves with the right tools. And for us, this tool was huge, because we learned so much about ourselves, first of all, and then so much about each other. Yeah. Okay, so there's 5 love languages, and the first one is words of affirmation. What are words of affirmation? Words of affirmation are verbal compliments. It's when I say something of appreciation or words that are nice, a compliment, without the other person soliciting them or asking for them, right? So, hey, I really like the way your hair looks today. You should keep it like that more often. Or, hey, those hoops look really good on you.
Wow.
You should, I'm going to buy you some more hoops because I like the way they look on you. I'm practicing here, y'all. Or the other way around, where words of affirmation is the way I receive love, where we were just talking about this, that since I work on music, I always go up to her with the project, whether it's finished or unfinished. I'm like, babe, what do you think? And I appreciate when she says more than I like it or it's good. You know, I like the feedback, and I want to hear whether she likes it or not, because it's important to me, those words of affirmation. So that's number 1, words of affirmation. Number 2, Number 2, quality time. And this is when you spend time with the person that you love. And really, it isn't just any time like, hey, we're going to go. Some could really enjoy this where you sit together and you watch TV, and that could be your quality time. But the key point here is that there's undivided attention between you and the other person. That when you spend that time and they are your focus, that's how that person feels loved. Or vice versa. When we're having dinner and you put your phone down or you turn it off and you'd rather talk to me or spend time with me and focus on me than being on your phone, that's quality time. Number 3, receiving gifts. And really the price doesn't matter here. You could get a Gucci belt or you can get a little cupcake, whatever it is. It's not the price that matters. It's the heartfelt emotion or the thought behind it that matters. Some people, that means the world to them. That if she traveled and went to this really happened. She traveled, went to the Bahamas and came back. And let's say that was one of my love languages, receiving gifts. And if she came back without a gift for me, that'd be heartbreaking, because I I would not feel like you're back. I'm glad you're back. We could have hugged and everything, but no gift.
You don't love me.
You don't love me, or vice versa. You know, whatever it is. I remember one time. Oh, we'll share this later. But she gave me a birthday gift.
We should share it after.
Share it
it's
after.
gonna make sense.
Okay. I'll share it after. But it was funny. It was funny. Stay tuned. Number 4, acts of service. Again, this is when I do something for my spouse without them asking for me to do this.
Taking out the trash, changing the oil, cleaning a room, the bedroom,
the dishes, taking out the dogs, whatever it is, changing diapers if you have kids, whatever it is, doing a task that relieves the stress from their shoulders. And that's how they feel loved, that you're showing me that you love me by doing those things. And last but not least, physical touch. And physical touch is more than just sexual intimacy. This is affection. This can be hugs and be kisses. It can be massages. It can be holding hands while you walk down the town center.
Right.
It could be PDA, public display of affection. Doesn't have to be like making out in the middle of the street, but knowing that person is there and there's affection and emotion behind the touch. So those are the 5: words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch.
And again, you can take the quiz.
Right.
Just Google it, 5 love languages quiz, and it'll bring all of this up and it'll ask you these questions. And as you go through it, it'll determine which ones, you get the most, higher count on them.
Yeah. It'll give you all the results, or your top 4. But it'll give you a percentage of, based on your answers, which are your strongest ones. Yeah. So you want to share a moment of truth?
Our tests.
We're going to share our test results.
Which we have to say this because the first time we took it, it's the same as we took it today. So it's pretty spot on as far as all right. So I feel like we have to give a background to all of this, though. Okay, so one of the things that really I started getting upset about, like I could say consistently, was we served a lot at church, and we still do. But back then when we were dating, it was like, obviously, that was the only time that we could spend with each other because
we worked, we had school,
right,
college.
So it was fun. It was fun to serve alongside him, be at church, and that was what we did.
Killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Right. But when we got married and here we are serving, and like for David, he thought, oh, we're spending time together.
Boy,
but I started to realize, I feel upset that we're not spending time together. And I'm
over here like, what do you mean? We serving at church 4 or 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
Together.
And what came up was, okay, this is something that I know that I'm coming up empty.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though he says, I love you, and, he serves with me, to me, that didn't equate as love. So my number 1 love language is quality time. For me, it's, we can spend time together. Let's go out, or just even being here at home. And now, if he is working on music in the house, that's not time. That's not quality time. Okay.
Even if we're working together on
no. So we've worked on it.
And I could get in my zone.
Yeah.
If you're creative, you know what I mean. When you get in your zone and 1 hour turns to 6 hours, and then you realize, oh man, I spent all day on this. I forgot.
Right. So when he tells me, oh, I'm going to work on music, that means I have to go find me time, because that's not our time.
Right.
So, carving out that time that he's going to do for work, for serving at church or working on music, then that means, okay, we have to be intentional about planning something that we're going to be doing together.
Right.
And that he's not on his phone. He's not, it's us.
Yeah.
So we did learn about that. Okay. So you talk about your top.
My top one.
Your top one.
Years ago, we took the quiz, and we have it kind of written down right here, because we had this little booklet that a friend of ours gave us when we first got married. And what mine, same exact score as I did an hour ago when I took this quiz right before Young Love Talks.
That's funny.
Physical touch is my top love language. And you might be like, he's a guy. Sex and physical touch is all he thinks about. Very stereotypical. But I think it goes beyond, like we said earlier, the whole physical touch goes beyond the intimacy in the bedroom. I think I enjoy it. I enjoy it when I can sit with her and I can touch her, I touch her arm or hold her hand. I enjoy when we go down the street and I can put my arm around her, or I can hug her from behind, or if we're in the room and I go up and give her a kiss, or she gives me massage on my shoulders.
You really love that.
I melt like this. That's my love language. And that's how I receive. That's how, because of the questionnaire, the quiz, it shows me that that's how I receive love best. Mm-hmm. Right. My second one is
before you get into that, because again, you start to see signs when that isn't being done, how that affects you. And I saw how it affected you, especially when I would be angry and I'd say, I want my space. And space meant don't touch me.
You're right.
And
it's making sense.
And it was like the end of the world. Okay.
Is that wilting flower?
Yes. And it like he just needed, it's like even more. Like if I was upset about something, he's like, no, we have to forgive each other. And he just wants to like hug. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like I just need my space right now.
That's how I would try to fix things. If she was mad, I'd be like, babe, come on, we have to and it would make her even more mad. Yeah, I don't think I do that as much anymore.
No.
Yeah, I learned my lesson.
No, but we also both learned, because I also learned that that's important to you.
Yeah.
So, I need, yes, I do need my space, like to calm down, figure out my thoughts, but it's not going to take a whole day or a whole week, You know
how long it took me to understand that if I just gave her 30 minutes of space, everything would be okay. Because the back of my mind is that is the advice that they would give us all the time, to never let the sun set on your anger. We could be arguing at 10 o'clock p.m. right before going to bed. I'm like, babe, we gotta fix this right now. Like, we can't table this. Let's fix it right now. But yeah, I learned my lesson that if she needs her space, I'm gonna give her space, because this is good for me. In the end, I'm gonna be okay. And it sounds very, very funny, but maybe it's the same for you, or maybe it's different for you, but it's a real thing.
It is.
You really feel like your spouse is not loving you, like neglecting themselves, and it hurts.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting how we're each wired very differently. Yeah. And even though I was spending hours with her serving, we would hold hands while we were serving, we would be on the same stage while we were serving.
It ain't the same. No,
it was not the same.
No,
what she needed, and I'm frustrated, because I'm like, what more do you want, woman? I'm already spending hours with you. But it wasn't that. It was she wanted undivided attention where nothing in the world was distracting me. It was just me and her. It didn't even matter what it was, whether it was walking or driving or just laying together. It was that. It was the quality time.
All right. So my second top one.
What's your second top one?
Is physical touch. So we understand each other in this part, and I really do love, like, even if it's at night and I need to be covered, and not just like with blankets, but also like just knowing that he's there. It takes so long for me to fall asleep if he's not there. And so, I
could be working late at night, and I know if it's 10 o'clock ish, 9:30, you're in bed already. I need to go to bed just for 10 minutes, just to cuddle and cover her with all the blankets, and then she can fall asleep. Otherwise, I'll be crawling into bed at midnight, and she's still awake. And I'm like, babe, why are you awake? And she's like, I couldn't fall asleep. So I learned. And then the next morning, she's upset and angry because she didn't get her 8 hours of sleep.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
it's real.
That's not under the love languages, but that's really important.
You need to sleep.
Sleep, yeah.
So my second one is
Before we go on the break,
my second one is words of affirmation. And basically it's when I don't ask for these compliments, but she gives them to me anyway. Hey, you look good today. Hey, your song sounds really great. Or even, it's crazy how even when like little notes, the other day she left me a note that said, I love you on my work notebook. And it made me happy because I was at work, and it was just a little reminder, a little word of affirmation that she loved me. I didn't need it. I didn't ask for it. But the fact that she gave it to me made me feel very loved and special. And it gave me a little pep in my step at work.
Oh, okay.
So, leave those notes, babe. Those are good. But we're going to come back after the break. And we want to talk about how this helped us in our marriage, but also how, if you're single, this is still very important because, you do want to get married one day, but the way we're made is in the image of God, and God speaks to us and loves us in ways that we understand and that make us feel loved and valued. And it's key to understand that and to accept that while you're single, because it molds who you are, and you become a healthier spouse in marriage. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Enjoy this song, and we'll be right back.
See you soon.
She got a spirit of God, but don't think that she won't go on. What we are going on can only be love. So grab somebody, like in the movies, and hit the dance floor. Girl, you know I love it when you praise her Lord that way. Girl, you know I love it. Girl, you know I love it when you praise her Lord that way. I love it 'cause you sliding, R&B songs like B2K and music so child. Girl, you know I love it when you raise those hands and give them all the praise. So grab somebody like in the movies, yeah, and hit the dance floor. Girl, you know I love it when you, girl, you know I love it when you praise the Lord that way. Girl, you know I love it. Girl, you know, girl, you know, girl, you know, girl, you know I love it when you praise the Lord that way. Girl, you know I love it 'cause you sliding, sliding, sliding. Shawty, see you vibing, vibing. This your party, girl. You fighting, fighting, fighting for me when you praise the Lord that way.
Hey guys, and we are back on Young Love Talks. You are with David and Doris tonight. We are talking about the love languages and how it can help your marriage, and we are getting into how it can help you as a single person, because we definitely don't want to do this without, having this for our single people out there.
That's right. We ain't forget you.
Right. And we just shared what our love languages are. So David's is physical touch and words of affirmation. And then for me, it's quality time and physical touch. So in some way we kind of
intersect.
We connect. Yeah. On there. And one of the things that can help you also to see, I guess, like the background of your love languages is to see how you grew up. Because the way your parents raised you, how your parents treated you, it can play a lot into what that is. And I do see how, with my parents, my mom especially, at nighttime, she would give us like back scratches, and it was just like the most wonderful thing. Like I would fall asleep.
That's funny.
Yeah. And yes, we spent a lot of time together, like as a family. Even as we were growing up, we would go to IHOP on Saturdays, like Saturday morning. It was just kind of a thing that we did. And so
it's interesting because receiving gifts is not one of my love languages. And we never really gave gifts on birthdays. Mm-hmm. What we did is
your family.
My family, yeah. Not us, sorry. My family growing up, what we did was we would throw a little party and pray for each other. Have a cake and piñata,
but there was no gifts.
Quality time, a lot of family coming over, no gifts really. I mean, yeah, over the years, no gifts.
But
it's interesting.
So funny thing, when in marriage, and I would give him a gift, like even if it was like
tell him that story.
Birthday gift, Christmas gift, any kind of gift. Okay, like I would give him the gift, and his face was just like, "Thanks." I mean, not in a mad way, or like, "Why'd you do that?" No, it was just kind of like really plain.
Okay, but let me explain though, because maybe this is just part of my personality that I'm not very expressive. Like, I'm very chill, very calm.
But
it's
you
very
can be.
rare. I can be, but it's very rare.
The one time, it wasn't even a gift, but he was so excited. I got him a shaver, like that he needed. It wasn't like a gift. It was just, he needed one. And he was just like, "Oh my gosh, babe, look at what you gave me." I'm like, you weren't even this excited about the Christmas gift.
I also appreciated the AirPods that you gave me one.
Yeah.
The pair of shoes. You really went.
I tried,
above and beyond that year. I was like, can we afford this?
But it really didn't. What I noticed was it wasn't a make or break deal.
Right.
If
she hadn't given me the gift, I would have been just fine.
Yeah. He wouldn't have felt less loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that one time that you We were at the beach. Both our families went to the beach. Your sister was there. My parents were there. My cousins were there. And I knocked out because, you go to the beach and, you after all day of being in the sun, you get tired. Yeah. So it was late. And I think it was close to midnight because you guys wanted to surprise me at midnight for my birthday. And they're like, hey, wake up. We got to go upstairs to the rooftop of the house. Cause there was like it was nice. And she opened this gift and it was a nice watch. And I guess, first of all, you woke me up, girl. I was half asleep. Wow. But since receiving gifts isn't really my love language, I was happy to receive the watch. But I think what she expected was, oh my gosh, this is the best watch ever. You got me this. I did not give her that reaction. And this was like the first gift I think that she had ever given me, because we weren't even married yet. We weren't engaged yet, nothing. We were just dating at that time. But yeah, we learned a lot about each other.
Yeah, we did. So gifts aren't really a thing
for us.
So gifts for us is the lowest.
For both of
us. Yours
is what, 0%?
And it doesn't mean that I don't like getting gifts.
Right.
Gifts are nice, but I guess on a scale,
compared to the other ones,
it really isn't. So I'd rather go out and do something fun than get a gift. Don't get me wrong though, because then my birthday is coming up and then I don't want no gifts for my birthday.
Moving on. Let's give something to these single folks. So
right. Let's give a gift to these single folks.
Here's
right.
Your gift to single folks.
All right. So we're going to get into how can the love languages apply to you. And the way that we're going to look at this is in this time that you're single, that it's really taking advantage of the time that you can build your relationship with God. And making it that stronger foundation. And it's so crazy because, as you're going through these love languages, you realize God has been loving me this entire time. And he's been hitting all of these points. And God is so good. So for example, I love how in Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 14, it says, "Oh my dove, in the clefts of the rock, in the secret places of the cliff, let me see your face. Let me hear your voice, for your voice is sweet and your face is lovely." Doesn't that just encapsulate what quality time is? When God wants to spend time with you. Why does God want us to pray, read the word? Because he wants to spend that time with us. Yeah. And it's that way that we can show that we love God, but that also God desires us, and he wants to pour out his love. So how beautiful that in the time that you are single, that it's not a time just to be like, okay, well, this sucks, or, like this is a boring stage of my life. Like, no, this is a time where you can develop and deepen your relationship with God. Before I knew that one of my love languages was quality time, so I would go on dates with God. I would go hiking and I'd pray and I'd say, God, this is me and you. So even though I was physically alone, I knew that this was my time with God, and I would talk with him. I would pray. So it's crazy, how God does wire us. And that was my time with God before I was married, before, I had that relationship. I had my time with God, and I have those memories, which is so great.
Yeah, for me, obviously, they're physical touch and words of affirmation, and I've never felt. Obviously, God touched me, right? But I think the physical touch, the effect that it produces is much more than the physical. It goes deeper. It goes to your emotions, right? Because these are emotional love languages. They produce the emotion of you feeling accepted, that you feel loved. And I remember the most marking moments in my walk with God when I was single was when I would spend time with God and I would literally feel like his presence was there with me. And yeah, it wasn't physical touch, but I felt that he was there. I felt that he was embracing me. I felt my spirit and my soul just feel full. And I understand now that my love language doesn't relate just to my spouse, but it relates to God as well. And words of affirmation, whenever I would have in my devotional and write something, I remember those ones that marked me was the promises that God would give me. I would read stories in the Bible and I would relate what God tells these people in the Bible and put it into my life. And I'm saying, I believe that, God. I feel that you love me because of what you said in your word.
Yeah.
And I look back now and I realize that this is just the way God wired me. This is the way that I was made in his image, and this is how he chose to make me. There's nothing wrong with it, and I have to embrace it. I have to discover it, because if I don't, then I may feel burdened. I might feel overworked. I might feel burnt out if I'm serving and I'm not receiving from God. And it's just a way to really understand how you can have a healthier walk with God.
Yeah.
By just knowing how he made you.
Yes. And so, yeah, it's so important. Yeah. That God is spirit. So, we can't physically touch him, but we can sense his presence. We can feel his presence. But also, I love how Jesus says that we are his hands and his feet. When we give something to someone, we're basically showing what Jesus would do. And so when someone comes to pray for you, when someone comes and, they lay hands on you and they pray for you, or they give you a hug, they comfort you, isn't that like Jesus himself, visiting your life? And I think we definitely felt that when we went through the recent miscarriage, how much people came to our aid, and with a hug, with a simple, I've been praying for you.
Yeah. It was a tangible expression of God's love for us. Yeah. 100%.
So quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation. When you read God's word, I love how in Jeremiah it says, this is God speaking, I have loved you with an everlasting love. I mean, it means a love that goes on for eternity, a love that is unbreakable, a love that, it goes beyond anyone else's love, right? Yeah. And acts of service, when Jesus said, right, I have come to serve and not to be served. Yeah. Jesus lived out service. Mm-hmm. When he washed the disciples' feet, that was acts of service. It was God himself loving the disciples in those moments. And Jesus himself said that we have to do the same, right? And how many gifts has God given us? Not just, spiritual gifts, but what about the miracles? What about the answered prayers? Yeah. What about the things that we do not deserve? The gift of salvation. Grace, hello.
His mercy.
Right.
Every morning.
God shows us his love. Yeah. And I hope that this helped you. Yeah. And as a single person, that you don't lose hope and think like, well, I'm not loved. Yes, you are loved. You are loved by a great God. And these are ways that God shows it. And this is a time for you to deepen your relationship with him. And when you do enter into a relationship, that you build off of that foundation with that other person. And for those that are married, that you really strengthen your relationship with that other person and allow Jesus to be the center of your marriage. Yeah. So we want to thank you so much for being with us tonight, talking about the love languages. You can always reach out to us on our socials. We are on Instagram and Facebook, David.onetime, that's right, Doris.Varias. It's been such a pleasure and an honor to have been with you, and have a wonderful week.
God bless. Good night.
Yeah, I need you on the daily. Couple weeks and I'd go crazy. Yeah, I need you on the regular. Yeah, I need you, yeah, I'm telling ya. Yeah, I need you on the daily. Couple weeks and I go crazy. Yeah, I need you on the regular. Yeah, I need you, yeah, I'm telling ya. Do you mind if I tell a story of the girl that I know that need you on the daily? Ain't no time to mess around. I know what is going down. You're the one I'm needing now. Yeah, they don't know what I've been through. They don't know that I need you. Hey, here's my life, you take it and you use me. It's more than just a high. God, I need you on the daily. It's a fact. When I'm with you, it's amazing. My whole life is only centered on you. Only centered on you. Yeah, I need you on the daily. Couple weeks and I go crazy. Yeah, I need you on the regular. Yeah, I need you, yeah, I'm telling ya. All the nights I spent alone, know you were there all along. And you're the center of my home, and there's no sense in letting go. No running away, I need you today, day after day. Irresistible grace, no way I can fight it. The one who I confide in, there's no hiding. Yeah, I need you on the daily. Couple weeks and I go crazy. Yeah, I need you on the regular. Yeah, I need you, yeah, I'm telling ya. Yeah, I need you on the daily. Couple weeks and I go crazy. Yeah, I need you on the regular. Yeah, I need you, yeah, I'm telling ya. You told me hit the road, you said I gotta go. Sent you something for the souls, and I gotta let them know. Enemy coming like wolves, and I gotta stay woke. But I ain't never gotta fear, cause same power that rose lives in my soul, yeah. If you send me, then I'll run the distance.